you have already written a novel, or if you are at the process of 70%, 80% writing about it, the fourth tip I would say is that root the character, go through your manuscript and see whether you have created a story world. Because in films, story world becomes very important. What do you mean by story world? The world you create where the characters move. That world should have a character. For example, in Bahubali, the Mahishmati has a character, the city has a character. When I am writing Asura, the Lanka has a character, the river, the sea there has a character. In Mahishmati, the river Mahishi or Jivanadi, it has a character, the mountains have a character. These all are the visual cues for the director to pick it up. So, build up the story world. Even if it is a slice of life story, build up the story world. If you are writing a campus story, the campus should have a character. The campus you call as very similitude. No? What you call it should look as if that campus could be anywhere in the world. At the same time, it will be rooted to that particular town. So what you are essentially doing is, you are one of the most powerful emotion is nostalgia. So when you write screenplay, you are evoking the nostalgia, especially when you are writing these kind of slice of life stories. Every character will feel that, yeah, this has happened in my life. This has happened to someone who I know. And the story world contributes a lot to do this. That's a fourth tip. Fifth, think visually. This is a tip even for novel writers. You can write, there are many ways of, but especially you can put it in two ways of writing. One is to make readers delighted with your command of language, write poetically, lyrically. A lot of writers do that. It's a great skill to have, great talent to have, and not many can do it. But I would suggest, if you have an ambition to move to the screen, rather than the lyrical language, it is the visual language that is important. So you have to learn to write visually. Why so? Because the lyrical language, many of the literary works, if you see, people judge it as literary and commercial work. Many of the books, because it is a very old way of looking at it, and it is a convention. I don't find any meaning. There are great stories in literary fiction and commercial fiction also. When you are going to the films, nobody cares how beautiful your language is. I will let you in another secret also. I have written almost 300 episodes of popular TV series, but my Hindi is patchy. I am a South Indian, but I have written some of the hit television show screenplay. Why this happens is because in screenplay, at least in India, language is not that important. Why? Because dialogue is written by professionals. India is a country of varied languages. So one Bahubali will come in 5 languages. So as a writer, you cannot write all the 5 languages beautifully. You might be able to understand 2 or 3 languages. It's very difficult to come with 5 languages. So the 4 major South Indian language plus Hindi forms a huge market in India. Even all television series get translated to all languages here, because we are a country of 130 crore people and having almost 300 languages, at least 21 official languages are there, 28 languages are there, with script 22 languages are there officially. And each of these languages have a history of thousands of years. 8 of them are classical languages. So in India, what we do in professional field, we write it in English. Even whether I am writing a Malayalam screenplay or a Tamil screenplay or a Hindi screenplay, I will write it in English. Not only me, nowadays 90% of the writers write it in English. When you write it in English and give indicative dialogue in English, respective language dialogue writers will come and write beautiful dialogues in that. And it makes the job easier for remakes. So many of the films, like if you take the example of Drishyam or Bhool Bhulaiya and all, these are all originally Malayalam films which got translated to various Indian languages. Similarly, many Hindi films get translated to remade into Tamil and vice versa. So This is how the industry works. If you write in English the screenplay will remain intact, and the dialogue writers have to only change the dialogues to suit it when you are remaking it. Another tip is that we use lots of software to write screenplays. So I'll be talking about softwares now. A few of the softwares which you use. The professional software used is Final Draft, the latest version. Final Draft is internationally used as a software. It is an expensive software costing around 17,000 rupees for the license, approximately. That is usually used in television. They don't insist, but if you are writing for films, definitely you need the Final Draft software. But if you are beginning, there are lots of free softwares available. So you need not invest on that. Only when you reach the professional level, you can go for it. Ideally, if you have money to spare, you should go for Final Draft itself. Then Fade In is there. It is slightly less expensive and takes Indic script. You can write even in Hindi or Bengali or Tamil or Malayalam or any language which you want. So you can go for Fade In. Celtex is there. A few other free softwares are available. But you will have to ultimately go for the Final Draft. This is so if you are going into screenplay writing, and if you have already written a book, whether you have already published it or not, I would suggest that you write screenplay for it. Use any of these softwares, free software you can download, and see how it translates to a screenplay as a writing exercise. So you will find that many novels don't easily translate to screenplay, many a times. So a few tips to how to fix it. A few quick tips. One is, one of the important advantage of writing novels is that you can go into the mind of the character. Soliloquy is permitted. You can write in first person, like Asura I had written in first person. It is Ravana describing the story from Ravana's point of view. So I can go inside the mind of Ravan, and I can say, okay, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. You are describing everything. How will you translate to screenplay? Of course, you can give a voiceover, but that is not an advisable technique. So what you do usually is that if you have already written it in first person, and if you find that your novel has so many self-looking dialogues or self-looking paragraphs, soliloquies in that, it is better to create a sidekick, a friend, close friend or confidant, and bring out all these things through dialogues. Because it will be boring to see in a scene when suddenly the character freezes and gives a voiceover that this is what I thought. If you are very talented, you can do that. Some of the great films have been done like that. But essentially, when you are beginning, please try to create a shadow character, a sidekick or somebody who, if they are the novel very good, they are not that. This is to bring out whatever inside your mind through dialogue. Second thing is, learn to write precisely, because we have got only 120 minutes or 140 minutes max. Your novel could be a tom like this, 600 pages. How will you translate to a film? You have got only 120. If you see Jaws, if you see Godfather, you understand that. If you read the book and see the film, you understand that how they are translated it. So you will take only the most important plot points. Sometimes many things which are not in the book, you will have to rewrite it for the films, because many things you cannot show it. So identify those plot points. And the final tip which I am going to give, because my time is running out, is that think about the climax first when you are writing the screenplay. Think the climax, think the interval if you are writing a film, if you are writing a TV show, think what is going to be the cliffhanger for today, because you will have to have the audience come, whether you are writing for the OTT or whether you are writing for the daily television show. Think daily television show is a separate topic because that's a different skill which another master class might be required. But when you are writing a film, think about the climax first, think about the interval, think about the beginning. The rest of the things you can fill. These three has to be kick-ass. These scenes have to be written and rewritten until they are perfected, and tried not to write. One page is around 1.5 minutes in India. If you read many of the screenplay books, they will say 1 minute. That's for Hollywood film. We usually draw out the characters. We have lots of slow motions to build up. That is how we tell the stories. We have a tradition of telling. We have a great oral and dramatic tradition. So we tell the stories a little bit differently. So here it goes to 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes perhaps per page. So a 120-minute, 2-hour screenplay or a 2.5 screenplay, please keep it in mind that it cannot go beyond 100 to 120 pages in final draft format. So you will have it will have a lot of white space. So the scene has to be concise, precise, and you have to tell the story in this much time. So that you have to keep in mind. You don't have the luxury of going to 1,000 pages or 500 pages when you write a screenplay. So these are the small tips which I could give in this short time. I hope it would have helped some of you if you are entering into a screenplay or if you are already into the screenplay. These are the things which I told from my experience, which you might not get it from many of the books. I hope it was of some use to you. I congratulate all the authors and all the aspiring ones too. Please keep writing. And one last thing, never write for money is what I will also say. Everybody says that. But books, I have written books, I write columns. But books earn you fame. Books earn you eternity. Books earn you immortality if your book is well respected. But for making a living, I think in India you will have to shift to films and television shows, because that is an industry, and industry is what gives money. Book writing is an art. It is what you do for your enjoyment. So I try to get benefit from both the worlds. I write book for my fame and enjoyment. I write films and TV shows for a living. So thank you very much. Thank you for patient listening. I once again congratulate TOI, Times of India, and JK Paper for the AutherAwards. I am also the jury of CS AutherAwards. So I congratulate everyone who has participated. Keep writing, and thank you for listening. My website is www.anandneeklantan.com. Thank you.